Heard, he's ready. So go ahead and raise your hands if you have a question for Coach, and I'll get to as many as we can get to. All right, Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. What did you learn the other night? Finally get a chance to see your guys take on somebody else?
Oh gosh, Andrew, several things. I think one thing's just the lack of experience, not knowing what our kids were going to be able to do when we're playing against somebody else. You guys have heard me say that this was a team that needed an exhibition game, needed a scrimmage, and we didn't have any of those things. So I think the biggest thing is just seeing the mistakes they made, but the way they could bounce back. Hopefully, we won't see some of those same kind of mistakes in the game tomorrow night. And then I think the other thing is that it's early in the second half when they went ahead, 43-42, I think it was. I thought our defense, Andrew Playtech, Armando, several guys stepped up and make some good plays defensively, and that's something we're going to need all year.
Much value did Caleb and RJ get out of the game film? Finally getting a chance to see them do something against different guys as well.
Yeah, I think that helps them. We showed them training tapes from what we want to do and what it should look like. But it's human nature. You're going to have more interest and more focus when it's you doing it. So I think they gained something from that as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mike Topper.
Good afternoon, Coach. Nice to see you. Very important question for you. This is the Maui Invitational in Asheville. Will you and your staff be wearing the traditional Hawaiian shirts tomorrow?
Mike, you're exactly right. That's about the most important question I've heard today. So, I'm able to do both. I don't think I'll wear them both at the same time unless it's just too daggum cold in there. But I'll probably wear a coaching shirt and at least one Hawaiian shirt as well, just because it makes me think of those good times we've had in Maui.
Thanks, Coach.
CL Brown. CL, you there?
CL, are you there, CL?
All right, Ross.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm having all kinds of issues today.
You
So
have issues every time.
yeah, Coach. I was curious. We saw Villanova, Jay Wright, and Mike Young at Virginia Tech basically put together a game the 11th hour. I think it was late Thursday night when they scheduled the game that they played yesterday. And I was wondering, is that something in terms of scheduling? Are you still thinking that you might need to add a game or having any apprehension on if you're going to actually be able to play out what you have?
Well, what we have right now, I'm anticipating us playing them. If something were to happen, then you're darn right we'd try to put something together because there'll be other people in that same scenario. But right now, we're not talking to anybody, do anything because we have a schedule and we're going to go ahead and try to play it and see what it looks like.
And I'm sure you're not any less competitive, given even under the circumstances of this pandemic and everything that we're under. But do you kind of temper your expectations, given everything that you said before the opener? There hadn't been any exhibition games. You didn't get a closed scrimmage, and this is it's the second game of the regular season Monday, but you might be farther behind than where you would be in a normal year where you've had more chances to kind of gauge that. So, yeah.
I think two things. One, I don't know that we've ever had 6 freshmen in our top 9 or 10. And so that's part of the reason of the fear, if you want to use that word, or anxiety or whatever it is. But not having those exhibitions or not having the scrimmages has put us behind. The fact that you have 6 freshmen in your top 10, I guess it is, that also puts us behind where we want to be. But I still have those big time expectations of wanting to be a great team and expecting us to get better quickly.
Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering if you could update us on the status of Anthony Harris. I know you mentioned he was expected to be ready for the start of the season. Well,
what I said is that at the beginning of the season, I did not expect him to play the first game, but we hope somewhere near the first part of the season. I think we're still at near the first part of the season, but he has still not had a full practice yet.
Okay. And then what did you like about what Dayron Sharp did on Wednesday? What stood out? And what are some areas you think he still needs to improve on?
Well, what he did Wednesday, the activity and the rebounding and those things he's done almost every single day at practice. So nothing surprised us. We do expect it now because we've seen it for one game and 32 practices, but he's got to get much better being able to play the game without fouling because I'd like for him to play more at certain games. I know, and he's going to be sitting over there with me because that the officials have called silly fouls on him. His first foul the other night was completely unnecessary. We've got to get him away from that because in the post area, you're going to get some fouls, but you can't have a foul 35 feet from the basket just by bumping somebody a little bit. So we got to get him away from those things, but he has a tremendous ability to rebound the ball and dominate things inside, and that's what we're hoping that we get even more of.
Chris from WLOS.
Hi, Coach. Hope you're well. I wanted to ask you, what impact did your years coaching at Owen have on your career as a coach? And then are there any principles or lessons that you learned during those years that still hold true today?
Yeah, Chris, I think that starting out when it's your first job, first head coaching job, first year out of college, you don't have any idea what to expect. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from those 5 years there is you've got to do everything you can to get the kids to buy in. And I think with each and every year at Owen, we bought in a little bit more and a little bit more. And we tried to build a program, not just coach a team that I was coaching that year. I still was thrilled. My first year at Owen, they'd never had a feeder program, never had an elementary school game. And so I think we had a 7th and 8th grade team my first few years there, but I started a clinic on Saturday morning the first year. And I think gave every one of my players on my varsity team at that time $3 or $4 and a soda and a Big Mac or something to come and work it. But 5 kids that were in our Saturday morning clinics started in the state championship game when they were seniors in high school. And so the whole thing about getting kids to buy in and the work ethic is something that I was very lucky with. And I still take a lot of things I learned from those kids and use them. My first year at Kansas, I still use them. I'm a kind of guy that likes to experience things. I'm not very innovative. I copy people, but if I find something that works, I sort of stick with it.
Gregory Hall.
Roy, how have Walker Kessler and Puff Johnson progressed since returning from the COVID protocols? I know limited minutes on Wednesday, but they looked rather efficient in those limited minutes.
Well, the statistics on the offensive end look good. Both of them had some big-time defensive errors there. But so that was Wednesday night. Thursday was off, I think it was. We practiced Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and or will practice today. But I think just getting them out there and getting their sea legs back underneath them, if you'll let me use that terminology, is the biggest thing. And they missed several practices. And so we did add things during the time periods that they were out. So trying to get them caught up with the other rest of the team is something that's important too.
And I know you mentioned Kerwin Walton was rather quiet. And have you seen that change at all? I know it's obviously early in the season, but have you seen him at least try to be more vocal on the court?
It's hard for him because he's a quiet kid, but if you want to be a great defensive player, you got to be very vocal. And so he's got to change in that part. But he did not have the kind of game that he wanted to have the other night. He's had some practices where he's made some shots. He's gotten better defensively. He's continuing to improve. So we're looking for more things down the road.
Tom Shanahan.
Hi, Coach. Throughout football season, we've seen teams, some more ready to play than others due to COVID, maybe mentally as much as physically, and what bodies were available. Just wondered if you factored that into your preparation for the season, the mental approach.
Well, yeah, I think it's something that we as coaches throughout the board, all we've been doing this spring, summer, fall, is worried, being concerned about the mental side of our players. They're all counting on playing college basketball and having great years in college basketball. And some of them are thinking it's only going to play 1 year, and they've had that doubt in their mind all year long, and they've been sitting around not going to class. They're doing the online classes down in the gym, and then they practice in the gym. They will lift weights down there. They never see any other students. It's nowhere near what a typical freshman year is like, and so it's something that we as coaches have been very concerned about all year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question for Coach? Deanna Gregory Hall, go ahead.
Roy, UNLV only returning 3 scholarship players from last season. Just what have you seen out of them on film? Obviously, Bryce Hamilton, preseason first team last year. What stood out from UNLV?
Well, they've also got a couple of kids that were sitting there as transfers last year, so it's not like they've only been practicing for 1 month. And so they've got 5 or 6 guys that played for them, and they had a tough start to the first game because Montana came out and made 8 out of their first 12 threes. That sort of hits anybody right in the eye. And I think that they got better themselves, and they were much better in the second half. But TJ's got some new guys to max in with. Bryce is a big time scorer. I think he's been picked first team all league and maybe preseason player of the year. But he's the kind of guy that we've got to do a great job on. But the other guys, they've got to do a great job for them as well.
Deanna King.
Hey, Coach, what's the value of playing 3 games in 3 days?
Well, I think you can find out a lot more about your team, Deanna. And one of the things it does, it gets you an opportunity to test your depth. And I think we're going to try to play more than 5 guys. I always have. And I think right now we'd like to keep this kind of depth all year. Last year we had no depth, except depth underwater that I felt like. But I think so 3 games in 3 days would get a chance for a lot of people to play.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate you jumping on. Have
Thanks,
a good
Steve.
day.